Welcome to the remote version of Frankfurt Studio. My name is Felix Seltner. I'm a New York-based German journalist and entrepreneur, and I'm also the host of the HOF, Frankfurt Book Fair's virtual networking series. It's a huge honor to change over to another stage today and to host you here for STARTS, which is a European Commission initiative to highlight very innovative projects. You just saw a great overview here in the opening video that combine science, technology, and the arts, hence STARTS, and contribute to addressing the social, environmental, and economic challenges of our time. As of 2021, Frankfurter Buchmesse is a partner for this prestigious STARTS prize that is awarded in June every year. And today is STARTS Day. And we present discussions on topics like sustainability, rising sea levels, artificial intelligence. And we also present the two winning as well as the two nominated projects that receive an honorary mention at the STARTS Prize this year. This project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program. And this whole initiative really encourages collaboration. That is what it's all about, between scientists, technologists, artists, people with different perspectives that are working together on innovation and sustainability. And of course, artistic practices play a major role in the development of technology in our society. And today we have an amazing project here for you. We are talking about where are we in building with bio-based and recycled materials? How are health, agriculture, neighborhoods, and linear to circular value connected to new ways of building? What are the challenges and opportunities for other industries, such as trade fairs and booth construction? Here we are at Frankfurt Book Fair, right? A huge topic. And we do all that by taking the example of the Growing Pavilion project, nominated for the STARTS Prize 21. And we will discuss these questions with three amazing guests. This pavilion, and you will see it in just a minute, is so amazing. It is really an ode to bio-based materials made up of 5 grown core raw materials: wood, recycled flows from the agricultural sector, number 2, mycelium, a bulrush, and cotton. Imagine. And it was built on many, many years of research and collaboration and visited by more than 75,000 people during Dutch Design Week, where it was the beating heart, the centerpiece of the exhibition. So please join us on this journey into the Growing Pavilion, and please welcome our guests together with me. First up, I would like to welcome Sustainability Manager at Fiction Factory, Maria Remigius. Maria, welcome to Frankfurt Studio. So good to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Yes, very nice.
Maria, please help people like me who don't know what a sustainability manager is and does. What is your job day to day?
Well, so I work for Fiction Factory, and Fiction Factory is an interior building company, and we build business-to-business custom-built interiors, and and everything that we build is temporarily. So, so I try to build stuff that's good, that will last for long, and in the future we will be able to take back and reuse in new projects. So this is my goal.
And how is what you do every day connected to the Growing Pavilion? What was your role there?
Well, the thing is, we make stuff for our clients, and clients are architects and designers, and they have their clients probably, but the bio-based creations, or Stichting Nieuwe Helden as they are called as well, they came up with this pavilion and to co-create it together. And for us, it's sort of like to also a road to how we should build things in a better way. So yeah, we like to build stuff, but then in a good way. And for us, this collaboration was really great.
Fantastic. Now, you're the builder. I would like to welcome the architect, architectural theorist, and author, Jana Revedin. Jana, it's such a pleasure to host you today with us. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me at the Frankfurt Book Fair. Just coming back from the Turin Book Fair as a writer.
Oh, wow.
So thank you for this collaboration with Frankfurt Book Fair since many times. And I'm very interested to see the Growing Pavilion, because I'm the member of the commission, the scientific commission jury of the European group that is researching on new biomaterials. Of course, we have a lot of 3D development on earth and mud, right. Celluloses, which is a paper, let's say, recycled material, fiber, natural fibers. But I'm very curious to see the Growing Pavilion today. Thank you.
So am I. Thank you so very much, Jana, and welcome to Start's Day. And now I would like to welcome one of the brains behind the Growing Pavilion, designer and scenographer Pascal Lebouc. Pascal, bonjour, welcome to the stage.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm just now on the Dutch Design Week in Eindhoven. We create a new pavilion. And that pavilion is really the next step after the Growing Pavilion. And it's also good to go back what we did 2 years ago and to discuss today. Thanks for the invitation.
Fantastic. So you already a step further and you're showing that it works. The Growing Pavilion, as an example, was only the beginning of the journey, and we are going to watch and explain that today. Please tell us just briefly before we watch together what the Growing Pavilion is, how you would describe your connection to it. What is your role with the Pavilion project, just in one phrase?
My background is a set designer for theater and dance, and the same like for Marije. They're all temporary projects, and just after 1 year or 2 years, they are all gone. And for me as designer, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, it was really enough to work like this. And as designer, but also really as material designer, because I also have a sculpture background, is to invest, to do research in new materials or old materials, growing materials, and because they are sustainable. But I also really love the poetic, the aesthetics of nature. I always say nature is the best designer. Just use it. And that's why we invest in Growing Pavilion as a collaboration of all growing materials, but also other designers, what we exhibit in the pavilion to really make the statement, we can grow our future.
Pascal, congratulations, and please join us on stage. What an amazing project you have pulled off with your colleagues. When I saw this just now, and I saw you touching the walls on the outside and the inside, the first thing I wanted is, can you take our attendees, our viewers, our guests right now that just saw the video with us inside the pavilion and tell us, how does it smell? How does it feel when you touch it? How does it sound for you as a set designer?
The most positive critics was that just the audience say, we really want to stay here in this pavilion. Yeah, and that's the best critic you can get as designer. And actually, the mycelium is just the same like touching a mushroom with this really nice satin skin, and it's really soft, and you have all these different colors like Japanese paintings, and the smell of nature inside, it's fresh. And yeah, personally I really love it to be in an atmosphere like that. And yeah, what I say, everybody really loves to be there.
Because out of a sudden you walk into something that used to be artificial, and now you breathe in and you are in nature, which is something completely mind-boggling for all of us. However, I wonder, this is such a big structure. There must have been huge challenges. We saw there was rain, I think, in the video. So you also have to weather nature, and as it comes all together, the heat, the wind. What were the biggest challenges that you had in actually building this, actually creating this to the point that people could walk in and it was safe?
Yeah, that's a good question. Especially it was the first time in Europe to make a mycelium at that scale, because, and so start everything, of course. You made first the furniture or sample furniture, and I invite Erik, because he's really the creator on that way. I invite him, or push him to scale up, because that's what I do as designer. I'm really a space designer. I need bigger scale, and it takes a long time to do tests, to grow on this scale. And the pavilion also helped the company, the studio of Erik, to scale up. And the pavilion is, because we present in May again the pavilion on the Floriade. It's agriculture fair, world fair in the Netherlands. It's also an experiment how it works in the weather, because the only way to discover how it works is to do it, and not only to do samples and tests, but really put it outside in the weather, in the hard Dutch weather, and see how it goes.
And have you had any moments where you thought, uh-oh, now we don't know what's going to happen?
The design of this pavilion actually is dictated in the growing time we had 2 years ago, from June till September. That actually really dictates the size and the shape of the pavilion. And that's really beautiful. The nature dictates. And we should think, mostly architects start to make a design, and afterwards they start about, okay, which materials we're gonna use. And we did the opposites. The material really dictates the pavilion in time and in design.
you breathe with the organism, you build with the organism. There's no way to go faster or slower. You let nature dictate how what you do comes together. And I think your colleague said in a video, you know what, instead of getting a table, a mahogany table, and have to ship wood all around the world and chop trees off, we can now grow it with mycelium. We can just grow a table and grow a table. How long does that take? If I say I want my home office to be out of mycelium in the future, how long is it going to take for a chair and a table to grow?
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing, and that's the power of nature. Like it's like a mushroom, it grows really fast. And these panels, one facade panel, it takes 1 week growing, let's say, and 1 week drying. In 2 weeks, you already have the material in the shape you want. You can really grow it directly in the good shape. And that's the fantastic. It's fairy tale. It's magic, actually. Like mushrooms are also magic, or for me, they are magic. That's actually because it's not only going about mycelium and fungi, but actually the statement we want to make, let's nature grows our materials because they are the best inventors on the world.
What to you is the most promising? What material would you say is going to define our future as builders?
I think the best way is not to go for one material, but just use the diversity of materials on this earth, and not to focus only on hemp, or but really use the diversity like we are as human, or the world works. And for me, instead of the mycelium is a beautiful technique, it also go about metaphor, about the concept of network. And that's what we did in the pavilion in a small way, you know, like Cheert in the video and Eric are really pioneers. And like the thing is how to connect all this knowledge and to grow together as society to these new solutions. And the network, like it works under the ground, we should do also in the bio-based world. Share knowledge, collaborate, and then we can make steps. And that's actually the most beautiful thing what we did in the pavilion. It's instead of the pavilion, to grow that network.
Which brings me to the final topic of our conversation. How is this going to be implemented? What do you think? Maybe it's been 2 years now since you built this. Tens of thousands of people have seen it. You said they stepped in, they didn't want to leave. So a lot of people must have reached out to you and said, Pascal, let's do something. Let's work together.
Yeah, there are already a lot of applications on furniture size, like lamps and also packaging, because also packaging is really wasteful way now with foam materials and so on. And as isolations in house. For facade, we did a really experimental application, to be honest. But if I'm a bit critic, it goes too slowly. And that's why we really create this pavilion to present the awareness of this material, but also to show fungi is not only bad and danger, what it can be food-wise, healthy-wise, but it can be also really strong and really helpful. And that's to find the balance. And we have scientists and we have all the techniques to see again, to do research again to the nature, to see when it's bad and when it's good. And it's a really thin line, but now we are able to do that.
Fantastic. So a strong call to action that we all could move much faster as builders, as creators, as architects. And I think it's a perfect time to bring up Jana Revedin to the stage. Jana, an award-winning, internationally renowned and working architect who, among many things, has created the Global Award for Sustainable Architecture. So Jana, you know all about what we just talked about, and you heard Pascal be so enthusiastic about this project. You saw the video, you heard his call to action. What did come to your mind when you saw the Growing Pavilion for the first time, and when you now hear Pascal speak about it so passionately.
Thank you, Felix. This Pascal's project is the architecture for the five senses that we have lost since 150 years, since the reformatory time of the Bauhaus, experimenting with the new materials and with cheap materials and with biologically growing materials to create living space for all, of quality and of surprise. And this element of surprise we see in Pascal's work and of his team, of course. Remember Edmund Husserl and the phenomenology, we touch, we feel, we smell this building. Remember Gustav Jung's individual and collective memory. It's a space of dream. We are enchanted by this place. So I wish you a lot of good surprises, because you can also have bad surprises in those processes, but don't give up. This ergonomy of the soul will be a winning motive of your work. To just resume why I am so interested in these new biosourced or bio-based materials. So this is where I am based in École Spéciale. It is the Bauhaus school that we have in France. It was founded 150 years ago, and I'm able to there pronounce this active and experimental and transdisciplinary pedagogy that Pascal is perfectly fitting in, even being not maybe a classical architect, but I'm working with, of course, theater people, with landscapers, with urbanists, but also with anthropologists, psychologists, or writers, or cinema directors. So this is the transdisciplinary teaching we try to move on since the Bauhaus. The next slide, please. From the Bauhaus closing in the 30s, you know, when Adolf Hitler came to power, of course, we had a lot of little schools that tried to advance in this direction. The Global Award community, this is my teaching and my research fields. Of course, you can look it up on the site of the École Spéciale and also on my website, personal website. The keywords are sustainable architecture and cities, of course, experimental projects, dear Pascal, and participatory processes, because we never invent alone. We never design alone. Architecture and all which is creation of space and of design of space needs to be transdisciplinary and done in a collective energy. Go ahead. So we see this Global Award community that I created since 15 years. It was a crazy idea. And Pascal, I love what you said, that you need to have some more connections, some more network building. Go to the next slide, please. The Global Award community today is 70 great pioneers of sustainable architecture, urbanism, landscaping, theory, also writing, of course, because we need to write down what we are fighting for, but also young talents from all continents. And this global south is much more creative as we are here in Europe, let us be honest. So my motive to create this was for defining architecture as an agent of empowerment, self-development, and civic rights, exactly as Walter Gropius did in 1919, founding the Bauhaus. The next, please. From this community, of course, we can expect to design together, to work together in community projects, to also teach together, of course, also to write together. We make politics, architecture politics, since these very beginning of the 15 years of its existence. 5 Pritzker Prize we have out of our laureates, which is amazing. The Pritzker was in that period, in that time, still on great names in star architecture. Now we have Wang Shu or Alejandro Ravena or Balkrishna Doshi from India or Anne Carton and Jean-Philippe Bassel. The next, please. And this year we were very happy to also have the Golden Lion of the Venetian Biennale with Raumlabor in Berlin, a group that really Pascal must love, and they do exactly the same ephemeral architecture in the public realm of Germany, and they really changed society by very small interventions that make us think about how public realm is the property of all of us. The next, please. As we have not only to build together or to experiment together, but to put it out down in what's in documents. We have to write not only on these new talents and these great pioneers, but we have to write together with them. I try to publish theory collections together with my colleagues, and this is not only architects and urban planners or landscapers, but this is, of course, sociologists, politologists, writers, theorists, and this makes this whole publications very, very attractive to the next generation of our architects. And maybe the next year's theory collection will be the most interesting for Pascal and his friends. It's called The Architect and the Existing Building with What is Already There. And your building materials, in fact, are already there. The next, please. So my project that I present for you, just as a hint, another idea, which always is always productive for good ideas which are already around. In the next year's Biennale of Architecture and Landscaping of the Île-de-France, the great region of Greater Paris, taking place in Versailles, the Château de Versailles. I'm engaged as the international curator, and I call it Land Inside. Where will we find solutions for a resource-efficient life? The next, please. I invited 3 colleagues from the great Americas, from the wonderful and so culturally interested Orient, and from the greatest maybe field of development, which is Asia. And you will see their topics. Rosana Montiel from Mexico, she stands up for the seas. The architect is a political catalyst, and he has to take this role nowadays. From the Orient, Amar Kamash from Jordan, he will speak about the universal synergies between geography, natural resources, climate, of course. And from Asia, Bonsem Prempada from Thailand, he speaks on the architect and the living beings out of the human beings, because this planet is full of other living beings. He's taking us to his elephant theater. Amar Kamaj is typically for an Oriental architect doing the trade union between the theme of rising, standing up for the seas, and the elephant theater, because with his little search tower, he will search for horizon. The next one. So here we are in the courtyard of the stables of the Château de Versailles, and you have this net installation of rise up for the seas, stand up for our seas from Rosanna. You have the tower and the elephant theater. The next one, please. And you will see how we play with the 5 senses of the human visitors, children, grown-ups, elderly, very old, disabled. First, you get caught in those nets and you feel like a fish, the poor fish that is caught by this unsure situation of being trapped into a surface. The next one, please. Then we will discover the bookshop, the official bookshop of the show, and the zone where you can sit and rise and talk and have a dialogue, and of course look at books. And you can climb up this tower. This tower will be made of raw wood and basalt interiors. So as the net is done in plastic to call us up to redo the nets, fishing nets, of course, in cotton and not as in modern times in plastic that are ruining the seas of our continent, much more than the plastic bottles, not only our continent, our whole planet. This tower will be of raw wood, building wood, still with the clay and the cement on its joinings, and of the precious basalt interiors, intarsials that are coming, of course, of the desert of Jordani. And climbing up, please, the next. You will then rise to a new horizon and understand the little fishing boat that is on the top of a 6-meter tower of a net structure that is trapping the people down there. And there you see this little boat with its fish bargain is causing this whole volume of plastic that will throw down on the grounds of our planetarian seas. The next one. And the third element of this little show, this little 5 senses of architecture, touching people's, I hope not only bodies, but souls, is the Elephant Theater. Here, Bonsa Imprentada is discussing why don't we rediscover how animals live on this planet and their needs and their also wisdomness. So he's bringing us up a pavilion built of elephant dung. This is also a resource, not only mushrooms, dear Pascal. So any kind of dung is growing in volumes all over the planet, and we don't anymore use it. We used it in former times to isolate our buildings. And we'll be walking on the steppe grass like the elephants do, looking for the good grass and for the water, of course, which is running under the surface, invisible but touchable and smellable by the sensitive body and soul of the elephant. The next one. And of course, inside the pavilion, we can have, or just a playground for children and for all kinds of visitors, just to feel and move and experiment like animals do the steppe space of their natural environment. Or the last one, please. We can also, of course, use it as a little arena, a little theater to transport knowledge and to make people aware, maybe to get back to these 3, from my opinion, qualities of sustainable living and working and free time space, which is calmness, and which is slowness, and which is interaction. So these 3 topics to give you as 3 hints to think a bit about the philosophy of sustainable development. Thank you for having me in this beautiful discussion. And thank you for maybe getting further in a next occasion.
Wow, thank you so much, Jana Revedin, for this powerful insight into the things you're working on. Architecture as an agent of empowerment, taking this almost historical slogan and putting it right into the issues of our time. And I love the qualities you pointed out after having built such a successful and pioneering, trailblazing community all around the world, that you say what we really need is calmness, slowness, and interaction. I think it's sometimes hard in our times where everything seems to be moving at lightning speed to get back to these core principles. And what you just showed is a beautiful example. So thank you so very much. And I would like to bring Maria to the stage, Maria Remigius, to talk about how we can take these ideas out of architecture, out of design, the interaction, the calmness, the slowness that both Pascal and Jana are working on, and taking it into the busyness, the busy kind of beehiveness of fairgrounds, of trade shows. You with Fiction Factory, you take all this work to the trade shows. One of the hardest places to be sustainable. As you said in the beginning, it's all being thrown out after a day, after 3 days, in Frankfurt Book Fair's case, after a week. And it is so hard to build sustainable. So please take us into Fiction Factory's work for a moment and show us how you do it and how you approach this very wasteful industry and show a better way.
Yes, so I'm going to share my screen and open the presentation. So Fiction Factory is an interior building company based in the Netherlands, Amsterdam. So me and 50 to 80 colleagues, we are specialists in welding and in woodworking and in 3D printing and CNCing and doing logistics and engineering. And so we are not designers, as I said before. We are the builders. So we build the designs of our clients with a lot of craftsmanship. And we not only build fairs, but we also build bars and restaurants, exhibitions, offices, and also retail interiors. And we also have our own sustainable tiny house called Wicco House, made out of cardboard. I started working at Fiction Factory 23 years ago. And I did a lot of building of fairs and events and shows all around the world. And I'm going to show you one of them that I built in Berlin. And it's from one of our main clients that we built the booth for, G-Star Raw. And this booth, which is quite huge, and there's also a small one next to it. I built this twice. So, and twice means it's for 6 days. And although we say that the booth building and fair building is very wasteful, I also believe that this industry also knows how to design for disassembly. And this is one of my circular principles that I hold. So we also, this is in Berlin, we had to put it in like 8-9 trucks to bring it over here, and we had to take it all back. So we have, like this modular system, we have these wall systems, we have these floor systems and stages so that we can reuse. And of course, we are not throwing everything away. So I've been learned to work with the Pareto rule. So, and in event building, I can say that for 80%, so the Pareto rule is like 80% the problem you can solve with 20% effort, right? So, and in event building, I think all event builders will take back 80% of the stuff that they bring, because this is construction work you will not see. And 20% we throw away. But of course, if you build a big booth like this, so my next slide will show, you have a lot of waste. This is just the waste of one booth. So what you see, yeah. And so this was in Tempelhof in Berlin. And what you see here is what we didn't take back. So this is sort of like 2 or 3 trailers full of mainly MDF material that we will not take back. And but this is just the 20%, and it's a lot. And this is something, I didn't realize that at that time, but as I've been doing research, I've been sort of like now on the force of, aiming for better materials to prevent this, because this MDF material, nature is not happy with that if you throw it in the forest. They really, this material can only be burned. We cannot recycle it, not in any other way. So, So 20 years ago, I started at Fiction Factory and I started building these walls. So these are the Lego walls. And these are all pictures because it was an old time, right? Digital cameras didn't have so many pixels. And I made 200 of them. And the first time we built them in Köln and in the Messe over there. And so also bad pixels, but that's how it was, right? And then, and soon I made more because this was really a good system, modular, and we could build like lots of stuff with it. And so this is in Barcelona on the Bread and Butter Fair. And so I can say that 23 years ago, I made the most sustainable product that Fiction Factory ever built. So maybe it's even the only thing that has left of what I've been building the last 20 years, because the rest has been thrown away, except for these construction parts. So this is, I think you should also say about the fairs that we are building in a better way. And these walls we still use today. So I'm going to show you here. They have become a bit older, as I did. And but this is in the Rijksmuseum. And since a few years ago, I really found out, I really felt it in my heart that throwing away all these nice materials is not good. I changed the way we build. So I'm not cladding these walls again with MDF anymore. I'm now using poplar plywood. We love poplar plywood. It's light and we can make lots more stuff with this. And so if you look at this, so you remember this picture, and then we go to the next one. So now you can see what we made out of it, right? Wow. So you don't see this background. This is how exhibition building is done and booth building.
Amazing.
So this is,
old, but still beautiful.
But still beautiful, yes. A little bit of makeup on and it's good. No, but this is the Caravaggio Bernini exhibition in the Rijksmuseum. And it was for us the first time that we built 100% circular. And this is all, I really also like to refer to the nature because I want to copy this ecosystem that nature has, right? So waste is food for another creature or whatever. And this is something that we have to work on as well. So for fair building, we are not going to throw away anything. You just have to find the right ecosystem. So maybe you have to use better materials that your ecosystem like and need. So for this, all these materials, I've been taking them back. So the poplar plywood has been transformed into new walls that I built. And yeah, so well, from all these experiences, I have sort of like 3 principles I now use for engineering and building stuff. So materials with less impact, very important to work with companies like bio-based creations, because I get to know more of these bio-based materials. Design for disassembly. Every fair builder knows how to do this, and less is more, of course. Well, we have been building a lot of projects, but I'm now going to do a deep dive into the exploded view, because during production, we also have a lot of waste. In our company, we throw away a lot of we have a lot of waste, but 80% of that is wood. And yeah, so it's sawdust, table cutoffs, but it's also CNC waste. And the Growing Pavilion, I'm going to show you now. So this is the CNC waste, like piled up every week, sort of next to our building. So these are sheets, plywood material, and this material has used for just a little bit, but every sheet has sort of like 30% waste left over, sort of like leftover materials. And this is happening all over the world with every company that has a CNC machine. It's like an average. Right. So 1/3 of a sheet is not used. So I said to Pascal, okay, we are going to build the Growing Pavilion, and all these benches you see around there, so like it's made out of eco boards. It's a very good material, but I'm not, you know, it's material that comes from China, but it's totally bio-based. Nature would love this material, but why throw away 1/3 of this sheet, right? And we needed 80 sheets, you know, and else I would have needed more. So yeah, and then I said, let's take a look at this. So growing waste, I said, and what to do with this waste. So here you can see, you know, like the simple pictures when the sheet is just cut out on the left, you can see that all the parts of the benches are in there. But when we were doing the engineering, we saw that we still had space left over. And I said to Pascal, you know, let's go for 20% or let's go for 10%. And then, you know, at some design, we came up with the roof going down. So we had to collect the water. So we need to make a water plant holder. And then I said, well, let's try to make this plant holder out of only the waste materials of our production. And so he took this challenge. So in the top right corner, you can see little parts. And yeah, so now from this production, of course, we have the leftover bits from the CNC. I could not make a sheet out of it anymore. It was very less. Of course, we had the dust and the cutoffs of the beams of the building, but we also had a plant holder. Fantastic. And this for me is sort of like challenging your designers and sort of like material driven, just like Pascal said, you know, like maybe we have to grow the materials, but you also sort of like have to look at materials first and then start designing. I think that's maybe the best thing to do. So yeah, what I say, a good beginning is a lot of work. And I hope I can explain it a little bit better. So I think fair building and exhibition building is really sustainable, but I think we should use, make more use of a better ecosystem.
Fantastic. And what a call to action to the fair we are part of right now, Frankfurt Book Fair. And what a call to action for all the builders around the world that are preparing for events right now, that are thinking, how can we do this differently? And just like the ways we gather are changing dramatically, the ways the things we gather in are changing dramatically. And it's such an honor and such a pleasure. And I learned so much with you today. Thank you so much, Maria Remigius, for this presentation and for this strong example of how it's being done and how you can challenge the status quo, even when you're in the project, and make it even better in the end. Jana, for our final round, you just saw what Maria has done over the past couple of years. How does that speak to you to go into the trade show industry, one of the most short-lived ones that built for the moment, and say, you can do this differently, even if it's very hard? What does it tell you as an architect and a global icon of sustainability?
The dimension of time is the dimension that can save all of us. We have learned it in the last 2 years. If we get slower, all these ephemeral buildings don't have to die after an exposition. In Venice, we invented an association that is called Re-Biennale. We don't destroy the pavilions and the expositions after the art or architecture biennale. We reuse them. And there's 40 persons now employed after 15 years that we created the Re-Biennale, full-time, of thinking, doing, experimenting, but also just building and dismantling materials that can be used 10 times, not only once. Because, of course, the taking away is much more costly than the building up in a city where transport is the highest economy factor. So I think this time factor, why do we have to do every day more things in every day less time? This will be a possible access. Maria, thank you very much to remember Frank, Walter Gropius' wife's motto, less is more, that she invents for the Bauhaus, and then since 100 years is our great motto. I would today say we have to get further than this. We have to be better with less. It's not only less is more. That was in times where we thought that the planet could be developed endlessly. We were 1 million of persons living here. Now we are 10 times nearly this number. Thanks to medical and scientific improvements and progress, this is a positive thing, but we are overcrowding this earth. So
better with less is what you are also giving to the Starts Day community today, Jana. Better yes, with less is your call to action.
And I think all these activities in biosourced and living and reliving or recycled materials to build, to protect our little human bodies. This is the sense of architecture, to protect, then to give comfort, and then to enchant if possibly. That would be the best, of course, of levels. If we do better with less, this for my new student generations is the motto. And I think we are all on the same avant-garde to go towards this aim, as to do architecture as a social and political agent for the society's needs that we see and that we hear.
Thank you so very much, Maria Remigius and Jana Revedin, and of course, Pascal Lebuc, the brain, one of the brains and hands behind the Growing Pavilion, for joining us today for this session of the Growing Pavilion, Sustainable Building with Biomaterials, Opportunities and Challenges for Tomorrow's Building Projects. You can find all about the Growing Pavilion on the web, and of course, you can enjoy more of this, more trailblazers, more pioneers today at Frankfurt Book Fair in the Frankfurt studio sessions, and with all the amazing contributions from all around the world for the Starts Day project. Thank you so very much, Jana and Mireille, and I guess it's now on us to say, do better with less. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much.